Caitlin Clark shooting insanely deep threes to Angel Reese already breaking records, the WNBA is in the best place it's ever been. Not only are TV ratings through the roof and smashing previous WNBA viewership, they're selling out arenas and flying charter. But even with the growth of the league, there's been a ton of controversy that we'll detail throughout this video, and it features some things you would not expect. Now let's talk about how and why the WNBA is taking over. There's been a lot of talk about how this rookie class has increased the popularity of the WNBA, but don't be mistaken, this league has had ballers for years. From Diana Taurasi, who's still giving out buckets in her 20th year, to Cynthia Cooper, who joined the league when she was already 34. Hoopers have been in this league left and right. The growth of the league has been astronomical since it was established in 1996, and that's because of the women involved in and around the league. The league started with only 8 teams, but since their first season, it's grown to 12 as more and more success has found its way to the WNBA. And we already mentioned 2 of the most iconic players ever, but Candace Parker is another player who was a 7-time All-Star, and now you can see her all over TV talking about games and making a name for herself in media. These women were integral for the game of basketball, and it's led to the success we see in the league today. Another big reason why the WNBA is gaining popularity at such a quick rate is because women's college basketball has been amazing in the past 20 years. Now obviously the level of play has been great, but the players and programs separately have been awesome at making themselves known and followed by the public. A perfect example of this is Gino Arima and the UConn women's basketball team. Even though the program wasn't great in their early years, Arima and some great players have helped them become the staple of women's college basketball. Since 1986, the team has won 11 championships and their success has been unparalleled. I don't want to stray too far from the WNBA, but what I'm saying is this all plays hand in hand, because the women's college basketball scene helps when it comes to the WNBA. Paige Beckers and Hailey Van Lith are 2 examples of very notable names who are still in college hoops, and they've made a name for themselves on the court and off of it. Of course they're hooping when they're on the court, but off of it they both have some social media presence that will be perfect for when they make the WNBA. And I know we mentioned them before and we'll definitely mention them again later, but watching Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark go at it in college was very entertaining, and overall it helped grow the sport immensely. This makes perfect sense because the players and personalities transition to the league, and of course new recruits come in and they're watching Paige Beckers and they're watching Caitlin Clark and they want to be just like them. So in the end they make themselves very personable. Oh, and I also have to mention that last year the women's NCAA tournament brought in more viewers than the men's tournament for the first time ever. So that just goes to show how much it's growing overall. We talked about it earlier, but the WNBA is in the best spot it's ever been, and if you look around the league it's easy to see why. Let's talk numbers, and the first one I want to mention is the fact that average attendance is up to 9,311 people per game. And that's the best it's been in years. 2 games this season have already had over 20,000 people in attendance, and the TV viewership numbers have been off the charts. ESPN reported that the viewership on their network is up over 150%, which is the highest it's been ever. And before we even talk about the rookie class that just came in, let's give our flowers to players from across the league that have helped it grow. Aaliyah Boston was selected first overall in the 2023 draft to the Indiana Fever, and the start to her career has been phenomenal. In her first 2 seasons, she's been an all-star in both of them, and as a rookie, she finished 11th in MVP voting. This proved herself as one of the best players in the WNBA already. A'ja Wilson is a 2-time MVP, and it's safe to say she's getting her 3rd this year, because she's averaging 27 points and 12 rebounds a game. Along with that, she has won 2 Defensive Player of the Years, and her team, the Las Vegas Aces, won the last 2 championships, so she's redefining the sport. Sabrina Ionescu is one of the best shooters in the world, and her performance against Stephen Curry during All-Star Weekend was amazing to watch. She's been an All-Star for the past 3 seasons, and last year she shot 45% from 3. Now those are only a couple of insane WNBA players competing today, and if you want to know more, look no further than the 5v5 team they're sending to the Olympics. Kelsey Plum, Brittany Griner, and Brianna Stewart are some of the participants, and they are the faces of the WNBA. But now we have to go into detail about 2 of the biggest players in WNBA history, and no, this isn't an exaggeration. Even though they're rookies, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese already have a long history that involves triumph, defeat, and controversy. If you follow basketball and haven't heard the names Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, I don't think there's anything I can do to help because they have been everywhere. Clark became arguably the best men's or women's college basketball player ever when she broke Pete Maravich's record for most points in a college career ever. Unfortunately, she could not get the job done and bring Iowa a national championship during her time there because in 2024, they lost to South Carolina even though they beat UConn in an instant 71-69 classic the game before. And then in 2023, they lost to Angel Reese and LSU where there were a bunch of iconic moments. Reese dropped a double-double in that game, scoring 15 points and grabbing 10 rebounds while Clark scored 30 herself. You also might remember when Angel taunted Caitlin with her their own "you can't see me" celebration. This is where some of the controversy started, because many felt that Reese using that celebration, especially at the end of a championship game, wasn't the best sportsmanship move out there. They talked about it on virtually every sports talk show, and if you thought this was the end of their beef, you'd be wrong. But we'll discuss that in a little bit. After such a storied and successful college basketball career, Clark went first overall to the Indiana Fever, and this pick was a no-brainer. It was on the level of Victor Wembanyama in the NBA. Both were can't-miss prospects that dominated from a young age. Reese ended up going 7th overall to the Chicago Sky, and instantly people were circling when they would meet up in a professional setting. So we finally get into the 2024 WNBA season, and as expected, both of them are making noise and filling up headlines. Clark is averaging 18 points a night and dishing out 8 assists, while Reese is averaging a double-double with 14 points and 12 rebounds a game. They were both selected as All-Stars this season, but even with all of this success, there was still some things that happened and they weren't 100% positive. For example, Clark has been getting beaten up during her rookie season, and it seems like the entire WNBA is out to get her. On this play, she got smacked in the head and none of the refs decided to blow their whistle.
Seattle, and all of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been all second quarter.
Now, it's debatable whether or not this was a dirty play, but at the end of the day, this is at least a foul and the referees did nothing. But this next play was 100% dirty, and it was a topic that people talked about for weeks. Chennedy Carter shoved Caitlin Clark for honestly no reason, and it was after she already scored. So I honestly don't even know why she did it.
It happened prior to the inbound, so then anybody can shoot the free throw. Of course, Indiana would have Clark, as a great free throw shooter, shoot it. A little surprised that it's nothing more than a common foul beyond that.
Carter is actually Reese's teammate too, and I don't want to rope her into this, but at the end of the day, Angel has also committed some dirty fouls on Clark herself this season. When she went in to drive for a layup, Angel Reese fouled her pretty hard, and after review, she was called for a flagrant on this play.
After review, the call has been upgraded to a flagrant 1. We have follow through, impact, unnecessary contact to the head. 2 shots for Clark, side out.
After the replay, it sort of looks like she was going for the ball, but she didn't touch it at all, and the result was a nasty fall for Clark. I really can't believe this has all been happening to her, because it seems as though everyone in the WNBA wants her gone. The players are sending her to the ground with hard fouls, the media finds any chance to hate on her, and we've seen a bunch of previous WNBA players talk down on her, and it just doesn't make sense. Clark has also had some technical fouls called on her, so she hasn't been perfect, but it seems like a lot of the hate is coming her way. Despite the controversy that I've detailed, I still see all of this as a pretty big win for the WNBA. Adding in this new talent and rivalry that we see in Caitlin and Reese only brings more attention to the sport as a whole. And having the two of them face off with their new teams as they also take on legends like A'ja Wilson has brought in a new and exciting perspective to an otherwise underrated league. They're easily the future of the sport, along with Cameron Brink, who unfortunately suffered a torn ACL only 15 games into the season. We didn't mention her yet, but she's a rookie forward for the Los Angeles Sparks who's blocked over 2 shots a game, and I know she'll impact basketball like the other two. Only time will tell where we'll see the WNBA in the upcoming years. But it's exciting to see how it's grown with this newfound attention, and the biggest question of them all is what can we expect from the WNBA? And how can women's college basketball continue to influence it in the future? Will we see new breakout players coming soon like Paige Beckers or Haley Van Lith? Leave a comment down below if you want us to do a deep dive on women's college basketball, its history, and what to expect for the future.